What's up, good people? What's up, good people? What's up, good people? Man, I was just doing a study today and was just doing some reading. And I've been looking at the Song of Moses for a long time, which is in Deuteronomy 31. It's in Deuteronomy 32. I just been going over some things, man. I want to get right to it. It's a lot of information in this thing, but this Song of Moses has the whole past, present, and future prophecies all in it. I'm gonna explain some things. I'm gonna go through some things. I'm gonna get all up in this thing, man. It's gonna talk about who people are, who bloodlines are. It's the whole plan. If anybody got questions on God, if anybody got questions on Israelites or who Israel is or who the church is, or one thing we don't talk about a lot of times when we look at the precepts of the Bible is the stranger that was always with the Israelites. Who is this stranger, and why was they always around, and what's the responsibility of them, and what's the responsibility of us taking care of that stranger, and what was the meaning of it, and what is that? What does the grafted in mean? What is the vine, the true vine mean? What does all that mean? So who are they? Why are they always hanging around the Israelites, and what's the responsibility of the Israelites to teach them and all these things? So I implore you, man, this is going to be a long video, so go watch it later. If you can't get it all in, it's going to be some information in this whole thing of the whole plan. It's the Song of Moses, man. We go through a lot of things in life, and we really don't understand what certain things are and what's the purpose, and why the world is the way it is, why we see all these situations going on. What are the signs? Who are the people? What people, what bloodlines, and who are the bloodlines, and why does God name everything in the Bible? Cities, people, fathers, sons, genealogies. Why does he do this? It's to keep a track record and to always go back. Now, and our problem is a lot of times we always try to fit this whole world or this whole timeline into a 6,000 year timeline of the Bible, and it just can't happen. It just won't happen. We can't do it. So the explanations a lot of times doesn't fit, or our theologies that we have, it doesn't fit all the time. So going through this study and understanding who the people are and looking at the wrong people, and we keep calling out all these other people, and who are they and why, and who are the Medes? Who are the Israelites? And what I'm saying? Like, who is Jacob? Who is the firstborn? Who is Jacob? Or, we go through these things. It's all for a reason. It's all for a reason. And I just want to just go through some things. It has a whole plan. So the Song of Moses, and it's called the Past, Present, and Future Prophecies. Has everything in there. Has everything in there. To the captivity, to our deliverance, through the first, but he prophesies these things before the first coming. So he talks about it, ties everything in, from Revelation and everything. So, when we go through these things, man, we gotta look at these, we gotta look at these precepts. And that's why he tells us to study and look at the line upon line, precept upon precept, here a little, there a little, because eventually you get enough bricks together, you're going to be able to build a house. But one brick is not going to build a house. One brick is not a shelter. You know what I'm saying? One raindrop is not a storm. You know what I'm saying? So your seeds can be watered, and you can plant the seeds, and your seeds will be watered, and you will have a crop. So it's all for a reason. All for a reason. So let's get into this thing. Let's go to Deuteronomy 31 and 19. Deuteronomy 31 and 19. And a lot of times, I know a lot of people have a lot of questions about subjects and the plan and who God is and why God, his attitude, and is he a God of love? Is he a God of war? Is he a God of hate? Is he a God of this? Is he a judge? Is he all these things? He's everything. He said, I am that I am. You know what I'm saying? He says, I'm everything. So, and it says he created everything. He created everything. So when we look at the personality of God and his nature, and all of his characteristics, it starts to tell us a story. It starts to say a story. So we got to get into this thing. Deuteronomy 31. Why was this song a song? And this is at the end of Moses' reign, right before he's about to turn everything over to Joshua, that he wrote this song, and God gave him this. And he says, write this down, because I'm going to tell you everything that your brethren go. When you leave here, I'm going to tell you everything what they're going to do. They're going to go into the land. They're going to get money. They're going to get everything what they got. They're going to get the land, and they're going to start wilding out. And I gave them the blessings and curses. If you do this, I will bless you, and I will do this, and you will be the lender and not the borrower. But if you don't, I'm going to scatter you. I'm going to do this. I'm going to curse you. I'm going to have it. So I'm going to discipline you because you made me mad. So the same thing you did to me, I got to do back to you. You made me jealous. So I'm going to send these other people. Who is these other people? So this is the reason why it's a song, because it's a prophecy before the prophecies even happen. And he's letting us know that this thing is real. So Deuteronomy 31 and 19 to 23. 31, 19 to 23. It says, now therefore write ye this song for you, and teach it to the children of Israel. Put it in their mouths, that this song may be a witness for me against the children of Israel. So why is he telling them to write this song right now already as a witness against the children of Israel? Because he knows something is going to happen. He knows they're going to be disobedient, but he's also going to give them a plan of escape. But he also gave us a choice. He's also gave us a choice. So he says, now therefore write this song. Verse 19, write this song for you. Write it down. Write this song for you and teach it to the children of Israel. You know how we get this thing in our head? So we remember it. Hey, you hear this song? And you hear the song over and over and over and over again. It gets in your head, even if it's a stupid song, a sorry song, even if it's a dumb song, you're going to be able to remember it because it's a song that's in your head and it's a repetitive tune that's in your head. So this is the reason why he put it in the song. So we would have no question. We would have we would have no question that this is God. And he told us this thing. Verse 20. It says, for when I shall have brought them into the land which I swore unto their fathers, that flowed with milk and honey, and they shall have eaten and filled themselves and waxen fat. Now, after I got them into the land of milk and honey, he's telling them that this is what's going to happen after I get you in. You're going to get lazy. You're going to start disobeying me. So I'm laying the foundation out on purpose so we understand why he told them this song, why he wrote this thing out. He says, now, after you went into your father, I swore to your fathers, and you go into the land flowing with milk and honey, and they shall have eaten themselves and have waxen fat. Now you done got good. You done got your job. You done got your house. You done got your car. You done got all this. And now you're going to forget about me. This is the warning that he's giving the children of Israel. This is the warning that he gives us. Once we come into the newness of life, and once our mind is changed, we come into God and we come into Christ. This is the warning that he's given us to him. Once you come, and they will turn into other gods. It can be your job. It can be a house. It can be this. It can be that. No matter what it can be. And you will break my covenant. What is the covenant? You're going to break my covenant. This is why he's telling us a song, so we will remember this. He can say, I want you to remember this. And it shall come to pass when my evils and troubles are befalling them. This is God talking to Moses. He says, when my evils and troubles fall on you for being disobedient, because you turned to other gods. It says you provoked me and you broke my covenant. And he says, it shall come to pass that many troubles have fallen them, and that this song shall testify against them as a witness. This song shall testify against them as a witness. We have to always be aware of what we're doing. That are we disobeying God? Or are we not doing these things? So we have to look at these things. That it should be a witness. Verse 21, it should come to pass when many evils and troubles are befalling them, that this song shall testify against them as a witness, for it shall not be forgotten out of the mouths of their seed, of their children, of their children's children, of their grandchildren. For I know their imagination, which they go about. God knows our personality. God knows that even now, before I have brought them into the land which I swear. So this is a prophecy that he's telling them what's going to happen to the children of Israel before he even brought them into the land. Remember, Joshua didn't take over yet. Moses isn't dead yet, but he's about to turn over the reins to Joshua. Now Moses is about to die and he knows it. So he's about to go up on a mount and look over and see the land. So he's given these instructions, but he also gave Moses this instruction and told him to look at this and write this song down and teach these songs to the children of Israel. Verse 22, Moses therefore wrote this song the same day and taught it to the children of Israel. And in verse 23, and gave it to Joshua, the son of Nun, a charge, and said, be strong and of good courage, for thou shalt bring the children of Israel into the land which I swear unto them, and I will be with you. So this is why he's telling them that he put it in a song so they will remember it. This is the reason why. Revelation 15 and 1. Now, a lot of times when John, the reason why we don't understand Revelation is because we don't look at a lot of the precepts. Like when we see the word angel, it doesn't always mean angelic being or Allah, or it doesn't always mean that. Sometimes it's a messenger. And these words are interchangeable. So sometimes he's repeating what the prophets seen. So when you look at these prophets, when they sing certain things, this is the same thing John is seeing in a vision of what's happening. So let's go to Revelation 15 and 1. So sometimes angel actually means prophet, or he's seeing the prophet or messenger. Revelation 15, starting at verse 1 to 4. 15. And I saw another sign in heaven, great and marvelous, 7 angels having the 7 last plagues. For in them is filled up with the wrath of God. The same warnings that every prophet came in the past. This Bible is one. Remember, it says the 2 sticks, and it says that knowledge will increase in those days. So, and he told Daniel to seal up this book until the time of the end, or until the time of the Gentiles. So reason why. Verse 2, and I saw in it were a sea of glass mingled with fire, them that have gotten victory over the beast. Them that has gotten victory are the saints. It was us. Now you might not want to believe this, but once we come into the kingdom where we're in the 1,000-year reign, the lake of fire, it's going to be covered over with molten glass, and we're going to be walking over when we're going back into the city, going back and forth to worship God. And we'll be able to look down and see the lake of fire, and they'll be able to look up at us. It's a chasm back and forth, but it'll be molten glass. Now look at this. Over the image and over the, let me start again on verse 2. And I saw as it were a sea of glass mingled with fire. Remember in Genesis, where he made the firmament and he separated the waters from the waters. That word firmament means molten glass. Molten glass. So there's a separation between worlds from a molten glass. There's a separation, a dome, if you want to call it also. And I saw that it was a sea of glass mingled with fire, and them that had gotten victory over the beast. Now this is after all these things, the tribulation, which is 3.5 years, the great tribulation. And over the image and over the mark and over the number of his name, stand on the sea of glass. They're standing on the sea of glass. You got to get these concepts. That's why they call me crazy when I say these things, when it says the firmament and there's a dome and we can't get in and we can't get out and nobody can get in. And having the harps of God. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God. So we're going to be singing as we're going into the New Jerusalem. We're going to be singing on these days that we're supposed to be worshiping God. And they sing, and we're going to be standing on that sea of glass. That's why it says it's mingled with fire. And we're going to be looking down at the lake of fire. And they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, the song of the Lamb also. We're going to be singing 2 songs, the song of Moses and the song of the Lamb. As we're walking into Jerusalem, saying, great and marvelous are thy works. Lord God Almighty, Just and true are thy ways, thou King of the saints. And this is Revelation 15, 1 through 4. What shall not fear thee? What shall we fear, O Lord? Glorify thy name. For thou only art holy. For all nations shall come and worship before thee, for thy judgments are made manifest. The stranger's in there too when it says all nations. It says all nations. Now when you go to verse 7, and one of the four beasts gave unto the seven angels 7 golden vials full of the wrath of God and that lives forever and ever. Now, when you look at that thing, it's 2 songs. That's why we're going into the song of Moses, past, present, and future. Already laid out some things already. But it says, and they, verse 3, and they sing the song of Moses, the servant of God, and the song of the Lamb. So we're going to get into the song of Moses. Let's go to Isaiah 30. We have to go back and forth to understand these precepts. Remember the prophets already said these things. Daniel, Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel. It's all in there, but it's all from the precepts. It's all the precepts that we got to look at. It's always the precepts. And this is what John the Revelator was seeing. This is what John was seeing. Now, some things was physical. Other things weren't. We have to look at these things. So when we go to Isaiah chapter 30, verse 29. And you shall have a song as in the night when a wholesome solemnity is kept, and gladness of heart as when one goes with a pipe to come into the mountain of the Lord, to the mighty one of God. And you shall have a song. Isaiah already prophesied this. This is what John is seeing. Now John is actually seeing the saints in the 1,000-year reign. This is what Isaiah was talking about. That's why it says that the 2 sticks shall come together in the end, or in the age of the Gentiles, eventually. So, the 7 angels are the last 7 plagues of Yah, the song of the Lamb, which was verse 3 and 4 in Revelation. Isaiah 30 and 29, sing the song on the holy days and the nights when you enter Jerusalem. Now, this is the song of Moses when we go to Deuteronomy chapter 32. Now, what I want to do, I'm going to kind of read through this thing. I don't know if I want to stop. I don't know if I want to just read through this thing or if I want to go by verse. But not verse by verse, but just go through it and maybe stop every now and then. So, I don't know if I want to go through it. So I'm going to check this out and I'm going to look as we go through this. But it's Deuteronomy 32, 1 through 43. But you got to get this. The problem with our people is we only have a short attention span. And in order to know who the Most High is and the Most High God is, we got to have a longer attention span than TikTok, 15-minute videos, 5-minute videos, 3-minute videos, clips, in order to really know and understand what this word is talking about. That's why we always got to be entertained in church and got to have all these lights and music and all these theatrics and all this crap going on in the church, because we can't be taught. Our mind is so warped and so watered down. When we get the sincere milk of the word, we don't know how to handle it. It tastes sour in our mouth. Right? We got to get past this 15-minute gospel, this 15-minute teaching. We got to start getting on the precepts to understand these things. It says, with all you're getting, get understanding. We're getting all this knowledge, but have no understanding. Have no understanding. Now it's time to get this understanding. Deuteronomy 32, 1 through 43. The song of Moses, the past, present, and future, has everything in here. That's why you can't have the old without the new. Jesus said, I didn't come to get rid of the law. I came to fulfill it. He says, if you love me, keep my commandments. The commandments are inside of the law. The law is not done away with. The law was just fulfilled in Christ. Now, there were certain things that were amended, but the law is still there because the commandments are in the law. He says, remember, he says, wrap all the laws wrapped up in these 2 commandments, which are the law and the prophets. Love God with everything you got. but also love your neighbor as yourself. If you do that, you do everything else. But the law, but those commandments are in the law. He says, which are the greatest commandments? They asked him. And he says, he didn't want to go through all. He says, man, if you love God with everything you got and then love your neighbor as yourself, you're going to do everything else. You're not going to covet your neighbor's wife. You're not going to steal. You're not going to murder. You're not going to kill. You're not going to bear false witness. You're not going to lie. You're not going to cheat. You're not going to have an unbalanced scale. You're not going to do these things. You're not going to treat the stranger unworthy. You're not going to do these things if you love God with everything you got. Because we have the nature of God. And then it says, love your neighbor as you love yourself, or do unto others. The golden rule, whatever you want to call it. That's why. But the commandments are inside of the law. So we're keeping the law. It's not done away with. It's not. That's why we don't understand Paul. And we don't understand Peter when he's seen the vision. Because you got to understand the law. You have to understand the bloodlines. It's all one book. It's one book. You can't have one without the other. And every time Jesus quoted something, he was always quoting scripture. Always. He never talked off his dome. Never. Never talked off the dome. Always quoted scripture. And this is what we got to get back to. Got to start getting back to. It ain't about theology. It ain't about what everybody taught us. The precepts of men. It's not about that. Got to get back to this thing. Got to get back to the trueness. The real. It's the reason why. Deuteronomy. This is the song of Moses. Deuteronomy 32, 1 through 43. We'll try to read this thing. Oh, boy. Let's go through this. Deuteronomy 32, 1 through 43. Give ear, O ye heavens, and I will speak, and hear, O earth, the words of my mouth. My doctrine shall drop as the rain. My speech shall distill as the dew, as a small rain upon the tender herb, as the showers upon the grass. There's different types of rain. There's different type of rhema. There's different types of how the rain comes down. Sometimes it's a drizzle. Sometimes we can't get all these things all at once. Sometimes we can't get showered upon. Sometimes there's a dew to where it just moistens the ground a little bit, but we're still nourished by the dew of life. Sometimes it's going to shower on us. Sometimes it's just a drizzle. Sometimes it's just going to be a slow, steady rain. There's different types of rain. There's different types of rain. They all nourish, but we receive it differently. Because I will publish the name of the Lord and ascribe it ye greatness unto God. Now, when we go back into this thing, the name of the Lord, and we see Lord and God in these things in the Bible, they took out the true name out of the Bible. They took it out. They took it out and put God and Lord near it. Anything could be our God. Anything could be Lord. But when they call me Darren. I'm not going to answer to the name John. I'm not going to answer to the name whatever. I'm going to answer to Darren or Dad or Pop or D. That's my name. You really want to get into it? His name is Yahweh. And Christ's name is Yahweh Shai. Christ's name is in God. It's the same name, Yahweh, Yahweh Shai. It's in God. So God's name has to be in the Son because they're one. It's Yahweh. But they took it out. Because I will publish the name of the Lord and ascribe the greatness unto God. He is the rock, capital R. He's already there. This is one of the prophecies. He is the rock. Verse 4. He is the rock. His work is perfect, for all his ways are judgment. A God of truth, and without iniquity, just and right is he. They have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of his children. They are a perverse and crooked generation. He's talking about us already. Remember, they didn't go into the land yet. And he's already calling them this. He's already saying these things. He's already prophesying these things beforehand so they remember this song. He's teaching them this song before they even get to the land. Before they even, Before they even conquered their first land, which was Jericho. They didn't even cross the Jordan yet. They did not cross the Jordan yet into the land. Verse 5, and they have corrupted themselves. Their spot is not the spot of children. They are perverse and a crooked generation. Do ye this require the Lord? O foolish people and unwise. Why were they called foolish and unwise? Because the Lord just delivered them. They crossed the Red Sea. They've seen the miracles. They've seen Pharaoh's army get drowned. They were delivered out. They got fed with manna. They drank the water of the rock. They've seen the miracles of God. They were warmed by the fire, the pillar of fire by night, and cooled by the cloud by day that traveled with them for 40 years. And it is not he thy father that has brought thee. Has he not made thee and established thee? He's telling them, I did this. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations as thy father, and he will show you thee, thy elders, and they will tell you thee. Verse 8, and will the Most High divide it to the nations their inheritance. When he separated the sons of Adam, he set the bounds of the people according to the number of the children of Israel. For the Lord's portion is his people. Jacob is the lot of his inheritance. I want to actually put this in here. No. I'm going to put the scripture in here. How do I do this? Nope. How do I go back? Oh, here we go. Come on. What I'm doing, I'm typing the whole Song of Moses in. 32. So when I go through the verses, you'll know I don't have to keep saying I'm in Deuteronomy, this and that and the other. 1 through 43. All right. So that's the Song of Moses. This is the Song of Moses. I stopped at verse 9. I'm going to go to verse 10. He found him in the desert, in a desert land, and in the waste howling wilderness. He led him about. It's talking about us, talking about the people, the true people. It's talking about us. He instructed him. He kept him as the apple of his eye. The reason why we are so confused as a people is because we don't understand we're the apple of God's eye. We've always been the apple of God's eye, but we've been so disobedient. This is why we don't have fathers in the home. This is why we're so misled. This is why the mothers aren't teaching their daughters. This is why the fathers aren't teaching their sons. This is why we don't have a family unit anymore. But we have always been the apple of God's eye. And this is why, because we don't see ourselves in this word anymore. We don't understand who we are. We were cut off. This is the whole Psalms 83 thing. We were cut off not to know who we were. Language, God, anything. So we were always the apple of God's eye. Verse 11, as an eagle stirs up her nest and flutters over her young. An eagle covers her people. God always covers us with his wings. He was covering us. That's why he's talking about the eagle, how a mother protects her young and sometimes stirs the nest up too. Sometimes he has to stir us up. Got to discipline us. When the eagle is teaching his babies, his or her babies how to fly, sometimes he rustles the nest and puts them out. But then if they're not ready to fly, he has to go down there and catch them. Remember, the eagle's nest is real high, but he has to teach them how to fly. and gets them used to the altitude and the cold and the weather and all these things. So sometimes he has to stir the nest over her young. And he spreadeth abroad her wings, taketh them and beareth them on her wings. So sometimes they put them out the nest if they're not ready to fly. And sometimes he sees them flapping and they're not ready to fly yet. He has to go down and bear them up on his wings. So a lot of times the Lord will stir the nest up. A lot of times the Lord will come grab us and do some things and send us out there. And he might, he might test us to see if we're ready. And he sees not ready. He'll bring us back in and puts us on his wings. But this is the reason why he says that. Verse 12. So the Lord alone did lead him, and there was no strange God with him. As long as we were under his covering, we prospered and we ate of the fruit of our own labor. We did these things. We had these things. He says he made him ride on high places. As long as we was under God's covering, we were prospering. We were living. We were eating the fruit of our hands of our labor. Once we weren't, everybody else was eating the fruit of our labor. Everybody else was taking advantage of us, built the country. And everybody else is reaping the benefits from it. You know what I'm saying? So it says he made him ride on the high places of the earth. This is when we're still under the covering of the wings. And he might eat the increase of the fields, and he made him to suck honey out of the rock and the oil out of the flinty rock, butter of kine and milk of sheep with fat lambs and the rams of the breed of Bashan. What is that? I got to get back into that. The lambs of Bashan and the goats and the fat of the kidneys of the wheat. And thou didst drink of the pure blood of the grape while we were obedient to God. When we're disobedient, we lose all that. Once we're obedient, we come back into that and God protects us and he's able to sustain certain things. But Jeshurun waxed fat and kicked. Thou art waxing fat and thou art grown thick. Thou art covered. Now, when we started being disobedient, he's labeling us to an animal that kicks to the person that's feeding them, that's kicking to a shepherd like a sheep is biting a shepherd's hand that's feeding them. That's what Jeshurun means. Jeshurun means the upright ones, right? When we were living good, we didn't need God. It seems like when everything's going good and everything's right, we don't need God. When our job is going good, when our husband's acting good, when our wife is acting good, when our children are good, when we got money in the bank, when we got a brand new car in the driveway, when everything's good, we don't need God. We don't pray as much. We don't call on the name of Yahweh. We don't call on the name of God as much. We don't do these things as much because we don't need them, because we good. We're wax fat. Remember that is said in the other verses? You got to go back to keep understanding these things. It says we were wax fat. And when adversity hits, then we call on God. Oh, Lord, when I get sick, oh, Lord, I need you right now. That's when we call on God. When everything's going good, heart beating good, blood pressure good, sugar's good, no cancer, I'm good. Just go about our daily life. But our regimen, we don't really reverence God when everything's going good. But as soon as adversity hits, that's when we start to mess up and start. It says this is when we have lip service to God, when all is good. So this is what he's talking about, the foolishness of Israel and their rebellion. But that's who Jeshurun is, the upright ones. When we started to rebel, wax fat and kick thou art, wax and fat and thou art grown thick, and thou art covering with fatness. Then he forsook God, which made him, which blessed him, and lightly esteemed the rock of his salvation. They provoked him to jealousy with strange gods. We put everything before God. Put everything before them. With abominations they provoked him to anger. They sacrificed unto devils and not to God, to gods whom they knew not. We've seen God. We've seen God, have seen water come out the rock. We've seen God when he split the Red Sea. They've seen God when Moses came down and gave them the 10 Commandments and his face was glowing. They seen God, but they was like, no, that's not God. That golden calf is God. Or everything else is God. That ain't God. Ishtar is God. All these other things are God, but the true God. Then we wanted to do everything else. We were a stiff-necked people, even back then. And we see it now. It was always us. It was always us. Sacrifice the devils to new gods that came newly up. whom your fathers feared not. Oh, of the rock that begat thee, that are undermindful, and has forgotten God that formed thee. That's why when Moses came off that mountain, he was like, y'all, man, what are y'all doing? He seen them that they were sacrificing to the calf and having sex and doing all these things and reveling, doing these things. And when the Lord saw it, he have abhorred them because of the provoking of his sons and his daughters. He's seen it. And he said, I will hide my face from them. Not that we're out of his sight, but he's going to move us out of the land. That he can't see us because his face is always fixed on the land. So it's not that he doesn't see us. He moved us out of the land that we were supposed to have. And I will see them, and I will see what their end shall be. He's prophesying that we were going to disobey him. Before this even happened, they're not in the land yet. But since we know the word, we understand what they were doing when they made the calf and they did all these other things. They didn't even go into Jerusalem yet. They didn't even go into the land of Canaan yet. They didn't even go meet these people yet. Remember, Moses is still here, so Joshua was the one that led them over. And he says, I will see what their end shall be. For they are a froward generation, children in whom have no faith. Got all this work, doing all these things, but really don't believe that God is, I'm the one. They have moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. We do all these things. Remember the highway of holiness. There shall be a highway there in the middle of the desert, and the highway is called holiness. We're not a holy people anymore. We're doing everything but that. We're making excuses for everything. Oh, let them do what they feel like doing. Let them do this. Let them do that. But not my people. For me and my house, we're going to serve God. They made a decision to serve God. For they moved me to jealousy with that which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities. And I will move them to jealousy with those which are not a people. What does that mean? I'm gonna move the real people to jealousy to those that are not a people. That means he's going to replace us with somebody that's not the people of God. Remember, he says, I called you out. You're my people. Remember, he didn't tell them God never told the Israelites who he was until he proved himself. He never told them who he was when he first came out. He didn't tell them who he was until they got out in the wilderness. And after their clothes didn't wear out and their shoes didn't wear out, and he fed them and he clothed them and he gave them to drink and gave them manna from heaven. Then he says, I'm the God that did this. I'm the one that did this. Eventually, that's when he told them. But he didn't tell them who he was until he proved himself. Because he said, I want you to know that I did this. But he says, you move me to jealousy because you provoke me with other gods and your vanities. And I will move them to jealousy with those that are not a people. These are these fake Jews that you see over there. The Ashkenazi and the Khazars. Look up the Khazarian Empire. That's who those people are. They have no bloodline linked to that land. Yeah, I'm going to say it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of people not admitting. We're starting to see it. Where did Putin get those paintings from? They had them locked up, but he stole them from other people already. But they had them locked up in a vault. What else they got locked up over there? Everything's coming out. We already understand this. We already know this now. Now it's time to move to the next level. Start calling it what it is. Why are we giving them hundreds of billions of dollars? Come on. I'm not going to get into the political part yet. I might get into that tonight, but I want to get through this song. We're halfway through. As they moved him to jealousy, but this is a key point. This is a key point. They moved me to jealousy, verse 21. That which is not God. They have provoked me to anger with their vanities, and I will move them. And now I'm gonna move you to jealousy with those which are not a people. God has moved to jealousy, and I will provoke them to jealousy with those that are not a people, with a foolish nation. God withdrew his eyes from his people. To jealousy with those that are not a people, I will provoke them to anger with a foolish nation. Verse 22, for a fire is kindled in my anger. For a fire is kindled inside me with my anger and shall burn unto the lowest hell. God mad. God is mad. When they say God mad, when you hear people say I'm mad as hell, that's what that means. It says God's anger shall be burned into the lowest hell and shall consume the earth with her increase and set on fire the foundations of the mountains. That means he's going to bring down the foundations, and I will heap mischief upon them. He's going to start talking about the captivity when the curses shall come upon us, when we talks about in Deuteronomy 28. This whole thing is talking about, remember, the Song of Moses, the past, the present, and the future. This thing has all of our whole history in it, has everything in it. And I will heap mischief upon them, and I will spend mine arrows upon them. There's going to be a penalty to pay for disobeying God and for making God mad and jealous, mad as hell, burn unto the lowest hell for his anger. Verse 24, they shall be burnt with hunger and devoured with burning heat, and with bitter destruction I will also send the teeth of the beasts upon them with the poison of the serpents and dust. The sword without, the terror within. Why are we always afraid? Why are we always dying by the sword? Always dying by guns? Always scared of this and always scared of that? Always scared of the political system? Everything's always unfair to us. And shall destroy both the young man and the virgin. Our girls are being more mischievous, younger and younger and younger. The young man is getting caught up in gangs and getting caught up in all these things younger and younger. We're being destroyed younger and younger. Our youth is being taken from us. Being taken from us. The suckling also in the man of gray hair. So that means the baby, the youth, the teens, even the old ones, even the veterans, the older ones, our elders. Verse 26, I said, I will scatter them into the corners. There goes the captivity. There goes the slave trade, the Arabic slave trade, and the transatlantic slave trade, and all the other slave trades that happened. No other people have been scattered like we have been scattered. And I mean over a period of time from years and years and centuries. I don't mean just for a small inkling of history. Nobody fits the Deuteronomy 28 curses like we do. Nobody. And I said, I will scatter them into the corners. I would make the remembrance of them to cease. That's your Psalms. What is that? Psalms 28, I think it is. Where it says, I will take their name from them and you will not know the God. Psalms 83, I mean. Where it is not, where I will make the remembrance of them to cease from among men. Where it is not that I fear the wrath of the enemy, lest adversaries should behave themselves strangely, unless they should say, our hand is high, and the Lord has not done all this. We were going to be so bad and put into this thing so bad. And these curses were going to be on us so bad that you're going to know that it just wasn't just a happenstance. That this thing, that we know that God put us under these curses because we disobeyed. Nobody was going to be able to do these things to us but God Almighty. This is how bad this thing is going to be. That's why he said what he said. Verse 27, where it is not that I fear the wrath of the enemy. I ain't scared. It ain't everybody else. We supposed to fear God, lest our adversaries should behave themselves strangely, unless they shall say, our hand is high. Our, after a comma, our is a capital O. A capital our, which means the true Israelites. Our hand is high, and the Lord has done this to all this. Verse 28, for they are a nation of void counsel. We ain't got no fathers in the home that give good godly counsel. Our mothers are not teaching our children properly anymore. We're so independent now. We're doing everything. Our community has no counsel. This is the calamity that he's talking about already. They haven't even went into the land yet, and he's already prophesying this is what's going to happen because he knew we was going to be disobedient. He's going to give us a way out. He's going to give us a way out. For our nation is void of counsel. For our nation is void of counsel. Neither is there any understanding in them. We have no understanding of who we are, where we came from, where we're going, what we're supposed to be doing. We have no purpose in life. We don't understand anything. We understand nothing. We understand nothing. We don't know where we're going. We don't know, should we get married? Should not we get married? Should we gotta get married young? We don't know how to properly vet a husband or vet a wife. That means decide, is this woman good for me? Is this man good for me? Because the father was supposed to be there to teach his daughter, showing what a good man is and what a good husband is supposed to do. So when she meets one, she'd be like, I better lock this brother up now. Not wait till I'm 40 years old. Not wait till I'm older. Not wait till I ran through 20 dudes already. Because then it's going to be harder for you to connect with him emotionally because you're connected with all these other with all these other people. You're connected with all these other people. So now your spirit is mingled with all these other people, and it's harder for you to connect with this one man that's your husband because you done gave yourself to other people already. You done gave yourself to too many people. Now it's harder for you to connect. This is the reason. Verse 28, our people are void of counsel, have no fathers with good instruction, no mothers with good wisdom that teaches her children. Then we wonder why we act the way we act, like fools. We have no guidance. We make bad choices. It's generation after generation of bad choices. Physically, mentally, spiritually, financially, bad choices over and over and over again. That's how you can tell that the curses of Deuteronomy was always us. The people was always us. But we've been rebellious and a stiff-necked people. It was always us. Verse 29, oh, that they were wise, that they understood this, and that they would consider their latter end. If we understood what we were doing, we wouldn't do these things. If we understand in our youth that we're wasting all this time, that we're acting the way we're acting over and over and over and over again, doing these things from generation to generation and not learning from it, right to the detriment of our destruction, the detriment of our communities. We own nothing. We have nothing to pass down from generation to generation. Nothing. Oh, that wish we were wise, that they understand this and that they would consider the latter end. Verse 30, how should one chase 1,000 and then two put 1,000 to flight, except that their rock had sold them and the Lord has shut them up? This is the reason why we're going to understand why everybody hates us. God's judgment through the nation. We're going to understand why everybody hates us. God is going to, he's been judging us through the other nations. That's why we were at the bottom. But that time is over. That dispensation is over, and we're going to rise now. For the rock is not our rock, even our enemies themselves being judges. We're being judged through the nations, for their vine is a vine of Sodom and the fields of Gomorrah. We've been eating the grapes of Sodom and Gomorrah. Their grapes are the grapes of gall, and their clusters are bitter. We've been being nourished by bad when they gave us the slave Bible, when they told us certain things, when they said we can't read and we can't write and we can't do these things and we're not supposed to be educated. And we were 3/5 of a man. We were believing all these things that everybody else was told us. We were taught history through our enemies. Our enemies taught history. Our colonizers taught us our history. That's why we believe our history started at 1619 or in the 1600s. That's what they taught us in school. that slavery, that's the beginning of our history. It's not the beginning of our history. Verse 32. Actually, verse 31 again. For their rock is not of our rock. Capital R, our rock, our teacher, our nourisher, where we get the word, the water from the rock. Even our enemies themselves being judges over us. We've been judged by our enemies for so long. Been being judged, being led, being taught history, being taught this word. Being taught this word from everything else but from the Spirit of God. The trueness. That's why it says the vine of for their vine is the vine of Sodom and the fields of Gomorrah. Their grapes are the grapes of gall and their clusters are bitter. Their wine is the poison of dragons and the cruel venom of asps. Different types of snakes. Okay. Verse 34, Deuteronomy 34. Is not this laid up in store with me and sealed up among our treasures? Verse 35, to me belonging vengeance and recompense. God's going to revenge this. God's going to have recompense. That means there's going to be a repayment. Those people, Psalms 83, when they put us into slavery and made us forget all of our customs and forget everything, changed our names, changed our background, changed everything about us, they're going to pay for that. America's going to pay for that. You want to say what you want to say? They're losing grip, and they know they're losing grip. That's why it's this last ditch with this new law that they passed with anti-Semitism, that they can't even give you a definition what anti-Semitism is. Who's Semitic and who's not? Who's a Jew and who's not? Is it bloodline? Is it conversion? Is it this? Is it that? They have no distinctiveness of what this whole law is. It's so broad, and it's always going to keep changing over. It's going to keep revolving over and over again, and you can't pinpoint nothing. That's why they always going to say everything's anti-Semitic. To me, that belongs vengeance. And the recompense, their foot shall slide in due time. Eventually, they slipped up. So they're talking about our enemies now. They done slipped up. For the day of their calamity is at hand. This is in the word. He's talking about our enemy that taught us our history, that taught us these timelines, that taught us all these things, that taught us that we were Hamites, that we were cursed, that we were the cursed ones, that we were Gentiles. Remember, he said he was going to make us jealous by a nation that's not, by a people that's not a nation. They taught us this. He says eventually they're going to slip up. And the calamity is at hand. And the thing shall come upon them and make haste. It's going to come upon them. It's going to slip up. Now these things are changing. When it says the wealth of the wicked is stored up for the righteous, everything's starting to switch. He's talking about the day of the Lord. He's talking about this time. This is the time frame. The verses 35 to 42 is talking about the curses of Deuteronomy 28. Only we fit the curses. When you read 35 to 42, it's us. We fit the curses. They don't. They never went back into Egypt again in ships. They were never sold. They were never this. They were never that. For 400 years. They say they are the bloodline. They say they're this, but they can't trace it back. That's why it's illegal in Israel to get a blood test, a DNA test. It's illegal. It's a felony. They will put them in jail if you get a blood test, because they know once you get that blood test, they're going to find out that they're not true Israel. That they're going to find out that they're Russian and Romanian and Polish and Ukrainian and Turkish. They're going to find out they're everything but Israeli. They're not even Palestinian over there. They're going to find that out once they do the blood test. They're going to find out that they're not A1B1. We are A1B1. They're going to find out that they're Japhethites, Ashkenazi, And now they're trying to debunk everything, saying that there was a city in Germany called Ashkenaz and that's where they were from. So that's why they call themselves Ashkenazi Jews. No, you're sons of Gomer. It traces the bloodlines back. Do your DNA and you will find out who you are. If you're Khazar, you're not true Jews. You are converts. It says we are the apple of the eye, of God's eye. You've been telling us we were Gentiles all through this thing. You've been telling us we're Gentiles. We're not Gentiles. We are the true people. And then it's read about the stranger. All through the Old Testament talks about the stranger that's with the Israelites. Read that. If you read the precepts, then you'll start understanding that you have to follow the people. And that's why the prophecies don't line up, because you're looking at the wrong people. You're looking at the wrong people. That's why the prophecies don't line up. And all along, the evangelical church been telling us to send money over there, support Israel, support them and bring them back into the land. Now that you're finding out, and you're so mad that whether Christ is black or not, we know the truth, but I'm saying, just hypothetically, just say, now that you're finding this out, now you all pissed. Oh, now it don't matter now. The color don't matter. Oh, now it don't matter. Now you're starting to see all these paintings from the 1st century. Even the paintings before then. Before 70 AD, you're starting to see all these depictions. That they weren't anglicized. That the history wasn't erased in replacement theology. A lot of evangelicals, they don't talk about replacement theology because they know if you do, it's always going to go back to us. And then it's always going to go back into the vengeance of God, that verse that we just read in 35, and the recompense and the calamity that's going to come upon them. Remember, the end of the age is Esau. The beginning of the new age is Jacob. The people of Jacob, Jacobi, the firstborn. We have to start getting the precepts down to understand this. You start understanding it where we talks about there's no Jew, there's no Greek, there's no Gentile, there's no this, there's no that. He says that for a reason. But once you get the precepts, then you'll understand the stranger. The Gentile is not us. Never was. That's why he said, don't go into the ways of the Gentile. Go to the lost sheep of Israel. Go tell them, because they need to know, because they're not practicing the laws anymore. They're not practicing what we're supposed to be knowing anymore. They're not practicing this. That's why they didn't accept me when I came. Because they were still mingling with the old gods in there. That's why they made God mad. He says, go to your brothers. How do we know who our brothers are? Oh, you'll know. You're going to go into the ghetto. You're going to go into the people. They're going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be singing songs. They're going to be singing Sexy Red. They're going to be singing this, and they're going to be singing all these other things. You're going to know who your brothers are, because they're going to fit the curses. And then you wonder why they get mad and why people don't like you. Now they're finding out that we are the true people. Everything's debunking this now. It's starting to try to debunk Khazars and debunk all these other people. It's starting to try to debunk everything. They don't fit the curses. That's why it's illegal for them to do a blood test in Israel, because they're going to find out, everybody's going to know who they are. And then wonder why everybody's complicit in helping them. Sending hundreds of billions of dollars over there. It's us. If you bless Israel, you will be blessed. If you curse Israel, you will be cursed. There's a recompense for cursing the true Israel, the true people of God. It says, then they will wake up in their calamity and realize that our fathers were taught lies. What lies were they taught? That they were the people, that those people over there are the people. That you've been mistreating the apple of God's eye. You've been mistreating the people the whole time. Remember, the first shall be last and the last shall be first. Y'all been first. You've been enjoying the blessing. That blessing is about to come to an end. It's switching. And that's why we have to learn the precepts of God and not the precepts of men. It's all in here. This is what John the Revelator was looking at when he was tying all this together. This was the vision that he was looking at. That's why we don't understand Revelation, because we're not looking at the people. That's why it throws our theology off. Because our theology was taught by the precepts of men. It was taught by us. It was taught by the Oxford people. It's taught by the same people. It's taught by the same colonizers that came over here and gave us this and gave us that and turned Jesus into a blonde-haired, blue-eyed joker. Caesar Borgia, the Pope's son. Come on, man. Now that we're finding this stuff out, are we willing to admit it? Does this thing change now that now you're the Gentile and we're Israel? Should it change? Do you love God any different now? It says the truth will set you free. But remember, if you kick against the vine and you start thinking when you were grafted in and you go against the true vine, he's going to put you out also. So do you really understand that you might be? Do you understand that you could, if you are the Gentile, what you're supposed to do? Graft onto them? And the stranger will come in. Remember the 12 gates. Remember the gates has the names of all the tribes on them. And the stranger will be with them. So when we go through these precepts, you'll start seeing that when the stranger was with Israel, we treated them. See, the thing that you're scared of, the evangelicals are scared of, that we're going to treat y'all like you treated us. These thousands of years, all over the earth. See, that's not in our heart to treat people that way. That's how we were conquered in the first place. Because we helped y'all, and then y'all took over, then you replaced ourselves, and then you stole everything. Is that mean, or is that the truth? You found out who Columbus was. A liar. A colonizer. A conqueror. A displacer of the people. And what he found when he came over here. This is the reason why we got to start getting into this thing and start understanding. That's why our communities are the way they are, because we have no idea who we are. We have no idea that it was always talking about us. I am black and comely and burnt by the sun. I'm dark and lovely. Dark and lovely. Black and comely means dark and lovely. Comely means beautiful. I am dark and beautiful. I am burnt by the sun. You still love me, Solomon? I've been out in the sun working and I'm all dark skinned. Beautiful. That skin look good, baby. I'm dark and beautiful. But we forgot who we were. Got my afro puffs, my kinky hair, my bushy eyebrows, my big lips. Curvy, looking all beautiful. But we forgot who we were. The daughters of Zion. This is why all the nations want us. This is why they want to keep mixing all of our seeds together. So we water down our races. So we water down our bloodline. Because they know that they can't live without the A1B1 bloodline. So now that they know if they can't beat us, they have to join us. That's why this melanin can be in the sun. And it won't hurt us and we get stronger. We sucking up all that vitamin D. Beautiful. 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 That's why it costs over $600 a gram for melanin. They're selling melanin. That's why they're kidnapping our little girls and our little boys and selling the melanin and drawing it out of them. Because it's the essence of life. We're made in the image of God. Adam means dark soil or red soil. Red hue. Know who you are. Know who you are. This is why God is so upset, because we forgot who he was. And we were disobedient. But the curses are over. Now it's time for us to start living for him. Start training our young men how to be husbands again. Getting married younger. Stop waiting so long, experiencing life, man after man, woman after woman, partner after partner, over and over again, doing all these things. And then our minds are perverted, and then we can't connect with nobody and saying there's no good men out here. There's no good women out here. Because we don't understand anymore. Got to start understanding who we are, that we were the apple of God's eye. Where'd I leave off at? I'm going to start with Deuteronomy 32 and 36. I'm going to keep going. So this is the Song of Moses. It has our history in this whole thing before it even happened. He prophesied a whole thing before it even happened. Stop hating who you are. Then you wonder why our sisters are lightening our skin and our brothers are lightening our skin and want to look like this and want to look like that. And we hate our people and we hate each other and we can't agree with one another and we can't walk together. How can two walk together unless they agree? Because we were under the curses. Our daughters have become haughty. And our men have become pious and think we know everything and think that we do this and do that. Have no love in our heart for the Father. Verse 36, for the Lord shall judge his people and repent himself for his servants when he sees that their power is gone and that there is none shut up or left. Once he finds out that we're at the end of ourselves and that we can't do it no more,